Hi, Larry Johansson here, and today I want to talk about the characteristics of leaders, the traits that we really want in our leaders, and especially political leaders. And I was prompted to give some thought to this because there's a federal election now fully underway here in Canada, and pundits are saying that up to this point, the election is too close to call between the two leading parties, the Liberal Party and the Conservatives. And what they're saying is that it might really boil down to the character of the leaders rather than policy, which determines the outlook or the outcome of the elections. Now, I've been always interested in the topic of leadership and the character traits of a leader who inspires. And I think that maybe a political leader, more than anybody else, is somebody who should have traits or who should be able to inspire a country to greater things. And so, what I did was that I put together a list of traits which I think are important. I believe that the character of a leader in any context, whether as the head of government, a company, organizations, or the family, is vitally important. A leader sets the tone in any context in which he or she leads by their values and their behavior. And this is especially so when one is a political leader. So, what is the first trait then of a leader that I'm looking for? And the first trait is courage. And Winston Churchill noted that courage is rightly esteemed as the first of the human qualities because it is the quality which guarantees all others. In the political arena, leaders are sometimes faced with damned if you do, damned if you don't choices. It's as the proverbial, some of these choices are between the proverbial rock and a hard place. And some people will benefit from the choice that the leader makes, and some people will get hurt. You can't please all the people all the time, as they say. So, what then? When a leader is faced with, these difficult decisions, damned if you do, damned if you don't, uh, uh, choices, well, what what should they do? What are we expecting them to do? And we're expecting them to make the courageous choice. People will see that it is courageous, especially when a leader makes a choice that on the surface of it might not be popular, but in the long term, it is a choice that is going to benefit people. And they may make that choice uh, even though it may cost them. So that is really what courage is, the ability to act in the face of danger or fear or cost to one's self or party or interest. And courage then is our first quality. The second trait that I'd be looking for in my leader is honesty. And when we talk about honesty, what we mean is that they're not lying. It's about not lying or cheating or stealing, being genuine, being a genuine person. We can really kind of, if they tell us that A is A, A is A and not Z. And that is exactly what we're looking for, honesty in our leaders. The third trait that I would be looking for in my leader is altruism. And altruism is the principle or practice of unselfish concern for the welfare of others. And so my question really around a political leader is, what is that? Why is that person seeking office? What drives someone to take up the burdens of becoming a political leader? You're going to be essentially in a being scrutinized very, very, very closely. You're in a goldfish bowl, as it were. And so the question is the leader seeking, is this person seeking power for personal gain or just power for the sake of exercising power? And so we should always examine a leader's motive and what that motive is. And I suggest that that motive should always be something larger than himself or herself. We would like the leader to be magnanimous, a great soul, a big person, in that sense of the word, looking and working for something larger than himself or herself. If a leader's motive falls below that standard, then we really should kind of question whether that's the kind of leader that we want. The fourth trait that I would expect of my leader is that the leader should respect people, should respect his or her constituents. And when I talk about respect, what I mean is that to have esteem or regard for the people that that leader is seeking to represent, his or her constituents. And this entails really listening, sometimes listening and taking advice, from the people that he or she is representing, and then at other times working as a collaborator rather than being out front at all times as, quote unquote, the leader. The leader is someone who serves. And in an interesting kind of way, if the leader respects the people he or she leads, then by extension, they will keep their promises and their commitments that to their constituents. The fifth trait that I would look for in my leader is the alignment of values and behaviors. Too many of our leaders fall into the do as I say, not as I do category. They castigate others for things they themselves are guilty of. And such leaders lose integrity and credibility, and easily they're branded with the title of being hypocrites or being called hypocrites. And to be called a hypocrite is like kryptonite to their authority and the beginning of the end for them. The sixth trait of a leader that I'm looking for, and this is especially important, is compassion. And a compassionate leader is one who is able to relate to or empathize with the suffering of others and are genuinely moved and interested in alleviating that suffering. And we have leaders out there in the political arena now who they want to present the tough image, and they're going to crack down here and crack down there and really show strength, and means to a large extent sometimes not really listening or not being not wanting to respond to the cries of the world really out there. So we're looking for compassion. We're looking for that humanity in our leaders, and those who are not just interested in their own country, but also really interested in listening to the cries of other citizens of the world and the ways in which we can, as a country, can help those other people in the world who are suffering. The seventh trait is, for me, is trustworthiness. And there's nothing much else to say about that other than it's to be trustworthy is literally to be worthy of being trusted, and trust has to be earned. And so all of the other traits that we talked about, courage and honesty and altruism and an alignment of values and behavior, compassion, all of those things add up to being trustworthy. The eighth trait of the leader that I'd really want to look at is that leader, is he or she ethical? And what I mean by that is that are they conducting themselves or will conduct themselves in accordance with or make decisions with a set of ethical or moral standards in mind? There are a lot of times our leaders, they quote unquote, they take the pragmatic approach, and the pragmatic approach really kicks out the principled approach. So, how do they go about balancing the pragmatic approach versus the principled approach? And sometimes the pragmatic approach really can skirt the edges of ethical decision making, and that gets a lot of leaders in a lot of trouble. The final trait that I would like my leader to have is to be able to rest, relax, and rejuvenate, thus allowing himself or herself the bandwidth to make wise decisions. A stressed out leader is a danger to himself or herself and the country or people they lead. Shakespeare's King Henry said, "Uneasy lies the head that wears a crown." He was bemoaning the fact that even though he has all the, quotes, customs and appliances of his office, unquote, compared to those of lower station, the latter can forget about their duties when the day ends, when he, the king, cannot sleep well, because he has taken the burdens of his office to bed with him. Well, we really don't want our leaders to take the burdens of their office to bed with them. And so we want them to rest well. So in summary then, I'd like my leader to have courage, honesty, altruism, respect, alignment of values and behavior, compassion, trustworthiness, being ethical, and to have the ability to rest, relax, and rejuvenate. Now, if you look at that, it spells the word character. So embedded in this overall notion of our leader having character, these are the qualities which are embedded in that character. And what I would like for you to do is to use this same template, and put your own character. What are some of the traits then that you would like to see your leader having using this template that I've just put together? All right? And let me know. So you take care, and let's stay in touch. Bye.